Hello everyone, hope you're doing well. In the past we have talked about many different parts of our psyche, and including thoughts, consciousness, fear, desire, and ego. And today we want to focus a little bit more, a short version of what is a fear, how is fear is coming about. But just like many other things in life, before we can get to what we are searching for, we need to possibly pay attention to some other things or conquer some other plateaus or stages in order to get to what we are looking for. For example, if you want to go and climb Mount Everest, we can't just appear on top of it, on the summit. We would have to go through a bunch of pathways and difficulties, and and figure out how to go through certain labyrinths and experiences, and eventually get to where we want to go. Or if you're looking for pearls, pearl, we can't we know what we want, it's pearl, but we can't find it here. We got to go to the ocean, we get a boat, go in the middle of the ocean somewhere where we know pearls possibly there, and then together we can explore it and figure out what it is. So on the same token, when we want to talk about fear, understand fear, we got to understand something else first, and one of them is pleasure. Without understanding what pleasure is, we can't understand what pain is all about. You see, our whole concept of life functions is based on pleasure. So let's understand that first, and its relationship with fear. What are the steps involved? Well, look, what is pleasure? Pleasure is a product of desire. For example, you like something, something attracts your interest, your sensories come to picture, come to work, and they become involved in turning that what you liked into the process that it takes for you to turn it into a pleasure, turn it into desire and then pleasure. So how does it work? Let's say you are, as we talked about in other videos, let's say you are in an auto show, or you're in a farm. You see a horse from the distance. It attracts your interest, it grabs your interest. So your eye makes a contact with that horse. And so encourages you that pleasant experience or vibration or resonance of your sensory, in this case seeing. You go closer, and then you get in close proximity of the horse. You touch the horse. Your senses now, your touch, sense of touch is coming to picture, different resonance, and then possibly you sit on the horse. You sit on the horse. You pat the horse, and then you sit on the horse, and suddenly you picture yourself how it would be, the experience of attending some parkour or some competition, some tournament, some experience, some outing with the horse. How would your friends look at you when you're riding that horse? How you look like when you're riding that horse? How pleasant it would be. Maybe it affects something in your life. Maybe you will find more friends, and you become more interesting person, and all of that causes a desire. Those images that is created by you going through these pictorial images because of the touch, and sitting on the horse alone causes you want to have the horse, the desire to want to have the horse. Or you're walking into an auto show and you see something red among the cars that are there for display, and it interests you. Your eye makes a contact, so you approach, you're encouraged to approach, you go closer, and then you touch the body of the car, or you lift up the hood and look at the engine, and then you open the door and you sit in the car, and the smell of the car, the touch, the sensory, the touch, and now the smell comes to the picture, the eye, the touch, the smell. And now when you're sitting, you have your hands on the steering, you start imagining how it would look like when you're driving this car, what your friends would look at. Maybe the girl that you like would pay more attention to you, or if she didn't pay attention, now she will pay attention to you. Or if you're a lady, and you will think, how would it be when your friends see you driving this car? What an experience. And all these images creates the desire to be born, and you want the car. And through this desire, the horse, the car, there is a pleasure that is created, a product of desire fulfilling desire, the pleasure that comes to picture. And that pleasure is recorded in your memory, because we are a recording machine. We record 24/7. And so the pleasure, the experience of it is recorded in your memory. And the memory says, this was good. I want this to continue. I want this pleasure to continue. I want to have this, do something for continuation of this pleasure to the thought. And thought says, oh, okay, memory wants me to continue this. By thinking, thought continues, gives continuation to the pleasure that has been experienced, and memory has recorded it in the consciousness. So now, through thinking says, okay, now memory wants me to continue. What is it that he wants me to continue? What it was, the experience that it was. Let's say it happened yesterday, whatever it was. It was maybe in a picnic, an outing, or a game you played, a tennis game, or a soccer match, or some conversation you had with some pleasant conversation you had, something that was pleasurable, and now the memory wants you to continue. So the thought says, okay, this is what it was yesterday, and now I got to keep thinking about it and keep that memory, that feeling of pleasure by thinking alive. But it was yesterday, it's not now, and how I should be creating it or keep it alive for tomorrow as well. So you can see that suddenly now, because of trying to keep the pleasure alive, give it continuation, had to compare when it was, what it is now, and how it could be again, which created time. When your thoughts go into your memory, think of something, you're in the past, the time is created, what it was and what it is right now, you're comparing the time, and what it should be, or you want it to be, or the memory wants it to be, it's projecting for the future. So brings about the memory, modifies it in the present, and projected in the future. Time has created. So now we can see the relationship between pleasure, memory, pleasure, thought, and time. Now, this time, this continuation is continuous. It doesn't stop. The time only stops when the thinking about that stops, and the thinking about that pleasure or that memory or that circumstance or experience stops when something new happens. Otherwise, it will keep continuing the same thought pattern, which the time has created time, and the time continues. So now we understand the connection in the here, and that is that time that through thinking for the order of the memory to keep the pleasure continued and alive, thought created time, and that time is what creates fear. Now, there's also another aspect to why fear is created. Of course, is created because everything that you like, the pleasure, the fear of not having it creates fear. The fear of being with your girlfriend, and if she leaves, your wife leaves you, well, it's pleasure, you have it, that relationship. The fear of not having it creates fear. The fact of not having it, the possibility of not having it creates fear. You have money, you worry about if you lose it. You have a house, the car you bought, you're fearful about if it breaks down. What happens if I don't have it? So the opposite of every pleasure is the reason. Actually, understanding pleasure makes it clear for you where the fear comes from, because the pleasure is actually the cause for fear. And then comparison of what it was, what it is, what it could be creates fear. There is no such thing as fear by itself. And we're not talking about the wild animal attacking you, or a truck about to hit you, which frightens you, or a frightening situation. We're talking about the fears created in the psyche, which is by comparison of what it was. Let's say I had a stomach pain yesterday. I don't have it now, but I'm wondering if I would have it tonight or I would have it tomorrow. So the comparison going to my memory, remembering the pain or the discomfort that I had, that is in the past, because I'm thinking about the past, and memory is the past. So I'm thinking the memory is the past, so I'm in the past. Like the time is there. Now comparing to what it is now, I don't have that pain, and then wondering about tonight or tomorrow, will I have it or will I still be okay? I've created time. So comparing what it was to what it is, what it could be or what it will be, is creating a fear. So if we understand all these things, then suddenly we realize that when we are fearful of something, it's not that we are helpless. If we pay attention to it, how it is created, by knowing this knowledge of what we just talked about, the opposite of the pleasure creates the fear, worrying about what it was, what it is, what it could be, creates the fear, then we know we are not so helpless, that because we understand how it was created. By this understanding, simple, full attention to it, then we will understand the relationship between thought, thinking, creating time, and creating fear. So the movement of thinking, movement of thought, is time. Time is created by thinking. And we're not talking about the appointment with the doctor or an appointment that you have. We're talking about this psychological time and the negotiation of life and movement of life. So hopefully, and this would be something for you to think about and enjoy a little bit about, pondering about, knowing a little bit more about your psyche and the effects of time, thought, and the role of pleasure, and how fear is born. And we just understood that pleasure is a product of desire. Desire, after pleasure is created, is recorded. The pleasure is recorded in memory. Memory wants it to continue, tells the thinking to continue this, but keep thinking about it, keep it alive. And the thinking compares it when it was, what it is, what it could be, how I can do it, and that is the relationship between thought and pleasure and time. And of course, that is the same similar formula that fear is created. So hopefully that was a short discussion about fear, and in the next section we'll talk about other things. Hope you have a wonderful week, and talk to you soon.